Welcome, everyone, to Breaking Through the Noise, Mastering Cold Outreach for Global Growth. It's great to have you all here. We have participants from so many countries, from Canada, from Israel, Bulgaria, from the US, the UK, Monaco, Bulgaria, Turkey, Germany. Hi, everybody. It's nice to have you all with us. Let's start with truth. Inbound marketing is fantastic, but it's a bit like throwing a bottle into the ocean. You never quite know where it will land or who will pick it up. Cold outreach, on the other hand, gives you control. You get to decide who you're targeting and ensuring that your message lands exactly where it's needed. But to be honest, sending emails today and cold emails isn't as simple or free even as it used to be. It takes time, tools, services, money, and also applying best practices to make sure that your emails don't just end up in spam folders, get noticed by decision makers, and eventually also you obtain responses. That's why we're here today, to equip you with the insights and strategies and tools that you need to take your outreach to the next level. So just to introduce myself, my name is Orieni from Beam Global. We help B2B software and SaaS companies and startups break into global markets and secure the first international customers and partners. What we do is market research, we devise strategies and prepare marketing plans. We build channel partner programs and recruit channel partners like resellers, MSPs, and so on. We help companies building their marketing and sales infrastructure for global operation, of which outreach is one of the channels. And our keynote speaker today is Michael Bassin. He's the CEO of Scale Up Sales. Hi, Michael.
Hey, everybody.
Michael's been guiding companies in their sales and marketing execution for the past 14 years. We work with over 100 companies in outbound lead generation and construction of sales teams. And his mission here today is to uncover his secrets for cutting through the digital clutter and building an effective cold outreach engine. Also, Jeffrey is joining us as well. He's the head of operations of Scale Up Sales. Thank you, Jeffrey, for being with us as well. Michael has an amazing content, tools, and tips and methodologies. So an example, so it's worthwhile to wait for his presentation. Before we kick off, let's see a little bit where you are in your outreach evolution. So let me ask a question. And maybe you can put your answers. Okay. Are you currently doing or planning to do cold outreach to global markets? Our focus today is global market. So let's see which stage you are. Answers are coming, or they're coming. Let's give it some few more minutes. Yeah, most of you are doing outreach. You'll see the results in a while. Some have just started, which is great. You can improve it. And those that are planning to will really be able to launch it in a, I think, more effective way. So these are our results. Okay, you can have a look. And we are here to improve for the yes, for the just started, and for the planning to, and raise some curiosity for those that haven't started yet. Let's see what we have in our agenda, what we have prepared for you. Bear with me for a second. Yes. So we'll start with my presentation, setting the stage, the foundational preparation for high impact cold outreach. Actually, Michael's presentation session is so valuable that I want you to become come prepared for it. So before you launch your outreach activities in full scale, I'm not talking about testing, then you should come prepared. This is what we're going to focus, and also provide a smaller focus on outreach for channel partners, okay? This will be followed by Michael's presentation, how SaaS companies can master cold outreach in an ever-changing digital world, and it is changing. Then, once that we're done with Michael, we will have two very nice draws. One of them will be for the first one for a $50 Amazon gift card, and the second one, even with a higher value, is a subscription, a free subscription for 3 months for a premium subscription for LeadSpot. It's an outreach AI optimization platform. I'm going to elaborate about it. You will be entitled to get 3 months with no commitment. It's really high value gift. So we appreciate our colleagues from LeadSpot, and we'll talk a little bit about the platform later on, just to introduce it. Yes, once we're done with these two draws, we'll share valuable links with some very nice benefits, and we'll have a Q&A session. You're welcome to ask questions throughout the presentation. We'll try to address most of them, I guess, during the Q&A, but we'll see how this evolves. This session will be recorded, the webinar recorded, and presentations shared with attendees. Once the session ends, we will you will see a survey popping up in your Zoom screen, and those that will be kind enough to spare the time to fill the 5 or 6 questions will be entitled to participate in another $50 Amazon gift card, and the winner will get an email with the gift card. So let's kick it off and start with our preparations. Okay, so this is like a checklist. Okay, I want you to become prepared before you hire your SDR or lead generation agency or experts. Before you deploy a full-scale team, there are some things that you should do in advance to come prepared, to be efficient. So this is what I'm going to talk about. And finally, I'm going to provide some tips with regard to outreaching to channel partners, distributors, resellers, all these guys that you're dreaming that will sell your products. There are some focus related to them, so I will share some tips. First thing, I want to talk to you about strategy. I know it's a heavy thing, but don't start with your tactics and the SDR services before there's a strategy in place. And when I mean a strategy in place, I typically mean a written strategy. It could be very short, but it has to be written, agreed upon all team members. And actually, when we're talking about outreach and cold emails, it's a part of the promotion. It serves as a direct marketing strategy aimed at generating leads, building relationships, and eventually getting meetings and sales. So it's part of promotion, which is part of the marketing mix, where we have the 4 Ps. Place, where are your products being sold? In the stores, retail, wholesalers, resellers, MSPs, consultants, system integrators, the scope of your product or services, the pricing, and the promotion. And within the promotion, we have called the outreach. And the marketing mix is part of a marketing strategy. And typically when we are conducting these processes of strategy, so we analyze the companies, the market, we conduct a market research, review the competitive landscape, and then conduct a marketing analysis and generate marketing plans for global expansion. But let's focus now on the strategy and on 2 elements of the strategy that are tightly linked to cold outreach. One of them is the USP, the unique selling proposition. What sets you apart? Sorry. That could be in terms of the target customers. What is special about your solution? So just to look over here, so we see here what the customers really want on the left-hand side. This is what you can provide, the blue circle, and the green one, what your competitors are doing. Obviously, you're looking for the sweet point, or the green check mark is something that your customers want. You can deliver it, but your competitors have a difficulty in delivering it. So you need to be special to stand out in terms of the target customers that you are addressing, in terms of features, In terms of the openness on number of integrations. I know there are many software companies, there are integrations that you have, the sales channels that you employ, the type of persona that your solution is targeting, the territory that you're focusing in. Something needs to be different. And I recommend you very much reading this book, Differentiate or Die. I think it will change your mind, the way you think about the marketing and strategy, and you'll find that differentiating in a meaningful way is very important. Meaningful way means that if all your competitors' logos are green and yours is orange, that's not a meaningful thing. You need to find something meaningful, as I discussed before. Second part of the strategy are target customers. I know you all heard that, the ICP, the ideal customer profile. But you need to know who the customers are to map their challenges, difficulties, their priorities. And if you don't know who the target customers, how can you customize a campaign or called outreach? You can define them by their size, by the vertical. Are they healthcare or manufacturing or education? By the maturity level on whatever you're selling them. Are they local or international? By the regulation, are they subject to a certain regulation? Or you can segment them by the tech stack. Are they all Oracle users? By function. So, for example, maybe you have a cybersecurity solution that targets customers with a CISO, or you may have another solution that you explicitly target customers that cannot afford or don't have a CISO. But you need to very clearly target that, define the target customers, and don't start a discussion about this when you're looking to launch your outreach activities. You better come prepared. Of course, there will be adjustments and improvements and optimizations, but these are two questions that you need to answer, the USP and the target customers. And just remember that otherwise, if you're going to skip this heavy stage, it's going to be tactics without strategies, like the noise before defeat. What does it mean? You're going to do wonderful tactics, including those that we're going to provide in this webinar, and campaigns and tools and platforms and activities, but you're going to spend a lot of money. It's just going to be noise. So you're going to spend a lot of money and you're doomed to lose in this game. So the strategy is like the compass for success. That's the way I see it, including for outreach campaigns, definitely. Let's move on. We're talking about global marketing, global outreach. So I like to think global, but act local. I learned something that typically customers or users or human beings, they typically like their countries, their nations. Okay, so when you do a outreach activity, you can mention their country. I think they're going to like it. You can, of course, not in all the cases, use the local language. That would be really great. Or at least use the local terminology for a certain term. Conduct some local research. For example, if you manage to quote local market statistics or indicate a local regulation, or even an industry event, then your customers will feel that it's not a global, unpersonalized campaign, but it's targeting a certain country, a certain territory. Provide references. If the case is that you already have references in the target country, use them. Your customers want to reduce the level of risk. That's why references are required. If there is a local player that you're either replacing or your product completes, then feel free to mention this player. It will have more of a local appeal. Of course, if you have a local SDR that can talk the native language, that would be great, but this is more challenging to achieve, at least in certain territories. But yeah, think local. Think about your customers, your target customers, and the geography where they're based. CRM. Yes, this sounds so boring. I'm not going to pitch about CRM, but you need to have a well-maintained and set up CRM. Why is that? You need CRM for the personalization and for the measurement. So you would like to track the sources of your leads, the countries, the segments, okay? So for example, maybe the outreach to the manufacturing industry is going to be great, but for the healthcare, not so good. So you would like to track that. You also would like to track all the activities, responses, meetings, opportunities created. So what I suggest here is to have the CRM set up in advance with all the parameters and be prepared with that. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of leads and contacts and activities, and it's going to be really a mess. So take the time, set up your CRM. It doesn't have to be very sophisticated. You need the basics to be able to personalize and then measure, okay? Maybe your measurement will not give great results, so you will go to other activities such as inbound, okay? But we're here to help you with the outbound, so no worries about that. Marketing assets. Yes, you all have website, I know. But are they updated, up to date? And are they reflecting the unique selling proposition of their target customers? So some of the websites that I see have nothing to do with the hopefully strategy that was devised. When the target user lands on your homepage, he needs to understand that you're talking to him as a CISO of a certain vertical or a certain size or a certain customer, and he needs to see or understand the unique selling proposition. That has to be in the website. Whether you mention your website in your campaigns and emails or not, eventually they will look into their website. And if they're not going to like what they see, or if it's not going to be aligned with what you're promising them, not so good. Of course, you need to have your brochure, one-pager, the deck, that's obvious. And you need to have some assets, some content of quality, okay? A case study, a white paper, a webinar. You will need this to both to project that you are an authority in your area, in your domain, and also in the human interactions that will hopefully follow the email activities. Your customers are going to ask for that. You cannot tell them in the middle of a campaign or a meeting when a customer asks you, send me a case study, you cannot tell them, okay, I will have it within 1 month. You need to prepare it in advance, okay? And I'm not talking about how many pieces of content do you need, but these are really the basics, and I suggest that you will be prepared. It will be also better for your lead generation and SDR agency to have these marketing assets handy. Demo. Demo is the holy grail of software sales. Most of you here are B2B software companies, and all my customers want to reach the demo stage. What they say, and it's true, when a customer sees my demo, 90% of them like it, and 50% or 60% will even eventually buy it, acquire it. So the demo is so important, and you want typically your outreach campaign to generate meetings and the demos, if that's your sales process. And you need to have a demo environment. You can't use a live environment or development environment. You need a sales demo environment and a script. I'm not talking about a software script, but rather a sales script, a demo script. A script that guides you, the person doing demos on your behalf, to run through the screens, the menus, the workflows, create scenarios of the typical users doing something with the software, a script. This is a big investment in time, not so much as in money, but in time. And if you blow it up in the demo, then all your outreach efforts were really in vain. So a demo environment and demo script is my recommendation. In B2B sales, references is the most important thing. References. So hopefully you have references. Hopefully you have customers in the target country. But even if you don't, maybe you are from the same vertical or the same type of customers. These references need to be mentioned in your website. Logos, testimonials, press releases of recent success, and as discussed before, case studies. And you can also, or you should, list your solutions in software directories and review websites like Capterra, G2, Gartner. As a matter of fact, I wrote a full article about now it's more than 90 industry directories where you can list your products. You don't need all of them, but you can typically freely list them. And some of these platforms also sponsor gift cards for your reviewers. So you ask customers to provide a review on your software, and the platform will pay your customers. They will bribe them, okay, with an elegant gift card. It's a very nice campaign, out of our scope right now, but I want to underline references. You need to boast with your references. Let's talk a little bit about the cold outreach for channel partners. So channel partners, this means the resellers, distributors, system integrators, MSPs, value-added resellers, consultants, and there are many other types of channel partners. These guys, you typically want them to resell your solution and implement and or support it, okay? Most of you guys and the B2B companies, sooner or later, they look for the channel partners because they form 70% of the traffic of IT sales, okay? So eventually almost everybody will sell through channel partners as well. There are some companies that are selling only indirectly, only via channel partners. Most of the companies are doing both direct and via channel partners. But I can share with you some actionable tips with channel partners. And it's like a parallel world to the customer, but a bit different. First of all, you need to define the ideal partner profile. The same that you did with your ideal customer profile, you need to define what is the profile of your partners. Now, if you don't know your target customers, how can you look for a partner? Because you're looking for partners that can reach this ideal customer profile. So you start with the ideal customer profile, and then you move on to the ideal partner profile, being able to reach these customers. You need to define the type of expertise, technical background, the type of partner. Is he a reseller, distributor, consultant? There are many variations, so you should better have them defined. Are they selling complementary products? Are they partners of other solution or tech vendors? So you need to define them, and this will be highly linked to your searching your database or sources for these partners to embark on your outreach activities. What's in it for them? Actually, this is a very good practice for everything in B2B business, right? Think about your other party, because otherwise you're going to waste your time. You need to show them that you're in a growing market, that there's a demand, okay? Otherwise, they're not going to join. That's what you need to hopefully try to convey to them. You don't need all these points, but some of them. You need to show them that there is alignment with their domain expertise, that they will not need to invest so much in onboarding and learning your solution because it's tightly linked to what they're currently doing or selling. You can tell them that it's a complementary product. They're already selling one product, and this enhances the other product. That it's aligned with the client base. So the same salesperson, when he visits a customer or talks to him, can also offer him or her your solution because it targets the same client base. It enhances their customer stickiness. So customers with your solution may be more sticky, and the churn rate will diminish. Sometimes or many times they're looking for more professional services. You can tell them that with your solution they would be able to sell a lot of professional services, and sometimes it's as easy as telling them that with your solution they can differentiate from their competitors. So you're going to be their unique selling proposition. So for example, let's say Salesforce channel partners, I guess there might be thousands of partners like that, but there are going to be only a handful of partners selling, Salesforce partners selling also your solution. So this can help them to differentiate themselves from the other Salesforce channel partners. Be concise, authentic, and straightforward. So remember that you're talking to partners. They're really partners. So they're businessmen. They're here to sell. Don't approach them with buzzwords that your solution is innovative, the best, cutting edge, disruptive. They don't need that. They're using it in their own campaigns. They don't need to see that, not at all. You need to tell them why you're approaching them, why have you chosen them, and you need to tell them just what you want in a very simple and straightforward way. I think this applies also to end customers outreach. Subject line that has been working for me, but it doesn't mean that it will work for you, but you can try it, is stating your company, the partner name, and collaboration. It's short. It tells the other party who you are, okay, and that you're addressing them. And collaboration. Collaboration means I'm not here to sell you anything. Don't worry. I'm here to collaborate. There's an opportunity. It's vague enough. It raises curiosity. You, of course, tell them I want you to become my reseller, but this is too blunt, okay? But this is just some of the insights experiences that I can share with you. In a unique partnership proposition, you have to talk about a unique selling proposition, your unique selling proposition, why you are attractive for end customers, why would they want you, why you are in a growing market, but also what some highlights from your channel partner program. So some advices, just telling them that they're going to get commissions. Everybody pays commission. There's nothing, special here. But telling them that they're going to get 35% commission is more interesting. Telling them that you're going to provide training, boring. Free or limited training, maybe you will get additional extra attention. Bonus for exceeding quotas. All the vendors pay them for that, okay? But maybe if you provide a bonus for the free first demos, or you incentivize behaviors rather than the actual sales, maybe they will notice you and will appreciate it. Telling them that you will support them throughout the sales process, they know that. But sharing leads is something that will interest them more. Now, you can use these either in your email activities or in the human interactions that will follow. And finally, partner references. If you have partner references, mention them. Partners want to reduce the level of risk. If you show them, tell them, write them that you have other partners in other corners of the world, this will reduce the perceived risk, and they would probably like to join success stories. So it's important to share it with them. Yeah, that's the preparation phase that I advise you to take before you launch your outreach campaigns. And now, let me please introduce to you Michael Bassin. Sorry. If called outreach at the fan club, imagine a fan club, I think Michael would be the president. He's the CEO of Scale Up Sales and Talent Sam. He has been building companies with their marketing and executions for the past 14 years, with over 100 companies guiding them through their outbound lead generation processes and constructing their sales teams. And his favorite market channel seems to be cold email. It's a bit incredible, but well, that's reality. Without any further ado, I'm thrilled to hand it over to Michael, who will kick things off. And Michael, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Ray. I appreciate it. Let me just share my screen real quick. And I'll have to share the presentation. That always takes a second. Okay. Great. Awesome. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Michael Bassin. I'm the CEO of Scale Up Sales. We manage outbound lead generation through cold email for early stage technology companies. We have offices in Tel Aviv, where I'm based, as well as in San Diego, California. So we manage like a full suite of global clients. I'm also the CEO of another company called Talent Sam, which is a full solution for recruiting, hiring, and employing full-time native English-speaking employees based in South Africa. So I'm here today to talk to you guys about the tactics, strategy, and implementation required to make cold outreach through email particularly successful in 2025. Just so you guys know a bit more about my background, I've been using cold email essentially since 2012. I've had scale up sales as a company since 2019. Before that, I was a head of sales and marketing for two different technology companies in Israel. And I've really been where you guys are. I'm still where you guys are, being, like a founder. I've been like a salesperson. I've been a BDR. I've been a vice president, where you have a lot of pressure on you to generate sales or to generate interest in your product offering. And it can be very frustrating when people are not responding to your emails and you don't know why. It can lead to a lot of doubt, a lot of self-criticism, a lot of pressure from those above you or around you. I've been that salesperson in a situation where I just had a CEO, down my throat who just wanted those results no matter what. And the way I kind of got into cold outreach was, I was in a sales position in the company, and I needed to generate leads. I needed to make sales, and I simply didn't know what to do besides sending cold emails. There's no doubt that cold email in 2025 is not the same way as it was a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 15 years ago. It's gotten a lot more complicated on the technical front, messaging. There are saturated inboxes. There's deliverability problems. There's no doubt that Google, Microsoft, and major email service providers do not want your emails to necessarily get through because they want you to spend money on advertising. There's a whole host of challenges. And unfortunately, it's a lot more complicated than just, having a sales team or having an assistant basically figure it out for you. So what I aim to do in this presentation is really cut through the noise, tell you guys exactly straight what we're doing at Scale Up Sales, and what I've seen happen in terms of the evolution of cold email to help you guys get great results for your own campaigns. Just so everyone knows, on the last slide of my presentation, we'll have my contact information. I'm happy to meet with anybody individually, one-on-one, either online or in person. You can fly me out to Bulgaria if you want, and that'd be great. And yeah, I'm happy to help you as much as I can. So the reason why cold email is so effective is because it's the single best channel for getting immediate feedback on your product offering. I would definitely argue that all marketing channels really originate from cold email. If you're not able to send someone a cold message, and get some type of positive response, you don't really know what is going to work for you in terms of how you're explaining your product or service, and really just like what is your marketing story. So cold email is very effective for that. It's the great equalizer amongst all marketing channels. It doesn't matter how well known you are. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the market for. It doesn't matter what country you come from. It doesn't really matter how great your English is. All that matters is that you get to their inbox, and you have something that's valuable that you can offer them. Okay? So there are really three main pillars of cold email that are really important to focus on. And actually, when it comes to the messaging and how you write a good message and how you scale personalization, I'm going to focus on that last, because there are two other really important topics that are equally as important, if not more important, for making sure that you get sales success. And those are email deliverability and precision in lead research. Okay? You can write the best messages in the world, and you can have great personalization, and you can have a really, finely targeted list, but it's not going to really mean much if you're not able to get emails into someone's inbox. A lot of the times, if you're not having success and you're not having sales success, it's really just because the emails have not gotten there. Every second quarter of the year, Google and Microsoft unleash additional changes and actually have their own AI, which is added on to their email service providers, Gmail and Microsoft Outlook, which are trying to help people to prevent spam. And while spam is like a huge issue, and I am not in favor of just randomly sending people messages in a spammy way, there's no doubt that what Google and Microsoft have kind of become is sort of like the KGB of the Soviet Union, because they're essentially reading and blocking messages that you're trying to send to your recipients. So the first thing you really need to be able to do in order to crack cold outreach is understand how to build a setup internally that's going to facilitate email deliverability. Okay? So yeah, the first pillar of cold outreach is really focusing on that and ensuring that emails land in inboxes, not in spam. And I'm going to kind of give you a high level overview of some of the technical things to pay attention to in two different strategies really for ensuring email deliverability. There are really two options. Okay, there is one option is basically to play along with the big players. Play along, use infrastructure run by Google and Microsoft in order to facilitate your cold outreach. And the other is to basically work against them through having your own dedicated email infrastructure via virtual private servers and IP rotation and DNS setup. So what setup you need, it depends a bit on your target audience. So I can answer specific questions at a different time, but I'm going to kind of go on a high level about what each one was and what's kind of needed in terms of your setup. So with a virtual private server, essentially we are establishing our own credibility to be able to send emails. There are different servers you can buy through companies like Racknerd. There's Hostinger, A2 Hosting, and Liquid Web. And once you basically establish kind of like a rotating IP addresses, and you build these servers, you've basically established your own credibility and domain reputation amongst your email addresses. And that, what we found with the campaigns we manage, has been incredibly effective at breaking through into the inboxes. So a lot of the challenges that people have when it comes to spam words, triggers like links, or problematic language, we actually usually eliminate by having our own virtual custom server network. The other option that one can really do is basically to build infrastructure through Google and Microsoft. And what we would do in that case is acquire enough domains and build enough email addresses to be able to send 25 cold emails per day from each individual email address. It's very important that we only attach maybe 3 email addresses to every single domain that we buy. It's very important that those domains and email addresses are set up properly with the right SPF, DKIM, and DMARC authentication. And it's also really important not to cut corners and really to warm up your email addresses, both for if you're using a traditional setup like Google and Microsoft, and with the virtual server setup as well. Warming up an email address essentially means you've created a new email address, you've made sure it has all the correct authentication, and then you're attaching it to a third-party service, which is essentially going to be sending and receiving emails back to and from your email address, that in an effort to show various ESPs that you have organic natural activity. There are a number of different service providers that allow you to do this. My favorite one is called Instantly. Instantly is also an outbound automation tool for cold email. And there are a number of different features that we always activate through Instantly, such as, read emulation, basically making it seen that somebody read our cold emails, maximizing open rates, making up a really kind of like, different text essentially for the emails that does not include any spam triggers. And, and also, and before we actually send, after a 3-week warm-up, we're actually going to be using additional tools like Glock apps. There's a number of different tools like this, but essentially sending out our cold email copy from our email addresses to a selection of email addresses that one of these providers gives, and trying to see before I launch my campaigns whether or not emails are likely to go to spam. Because usually anything below 70% is considered a bit dangerous. We want to make sure that our emails we're going to get to at least 70% of inboxes. Okay? It's really important to dedicate the time, infrastructure, and honestly, even the finances to making sure this works. There's no doubt that paying for a lot of Google and Microsoft email addresses is expensive, and monitoring them and doing spam testing is expensive as well. It just takes a lot of time. Dedicated servers are actually much more technical and a bit more complicated, but they're much cheaper. You're able to, I think, instead of spending, $7.20 per Gmail address for a dedicated server, I think we spend like maybe $25 for, 100 email addresses. So, okay. The second topic I want to talk about is really precision and lead targeting. Okay. If you've managed to hack the deliverability angle, it's really important that you're working with really good data. Okay. What is the difference between spam and really good cold outreach? Because everybody hates spam. Just so you guys know, I mean, me, Michael Basson, CEO of Scale Up Sales, I probably get 7 cold emails a day, another 4 LinkedIn messages from other lead generation services that are trying to sell me lead generation services, offering me guaranteed 15 to 20 appointments every day or every week or something like that with the same awful copy. And they clearly have not done their research. So what am I going to do? I'm going to mark them as spam because it is spam, because they haven't checked their research. They haven't done the research. They don't know who they're actually reaching out to. And it's really annoying. It's really annoying. You don't want to be associated with that. So to do really good research, there are a couple of different things to really pay attention to. You know, you need to kind of balance out how much research can be done in an automated fashion, you know, using existing tools out there to basically source segments of data. The good thing about those different data sources is that they're readily available, you know, for a fee. The problem with those data sources is that, you know, everybody's using them, you know, so you have to basically offer something unique. So I always think that when you're thinking about lead research, it's always important to devote a certain budget for some type of manual research. Okay, you need to say, look, especially if you want like a custom audience and you really want to get a high response rate, you need somebody who's going to be able to look over the data you get from various public sources, or sorry, private sources that you pay subscriptions for, public sources, and someone who's also able to simply build, you know, you could say your enterprise list of targets where you really know on a one-by-one basis who you're reaching out to. Okay, the 3 best kind of automated tools for lead research that I really like are Apollo.io, Clay, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Now, I don't need to go too in depth in this, but you know, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is really great for building a custom list of profiles that you can use and basically send over to a tool like Apollo and Clay. There's no doubt that Apollo is known for being a tool for mass outreach, but you really do have a lot of filters that you're able to manage in order to extract the data, to get really great data. Apollo, extracting lots of data from Apollo and from Clay can be very expensive. There are some third-party softwares called like Export Apollo, where you can really export mass amounts of data from Apollo for essentially peanuts, which I do like to use. It can be really nice to basically have an export of, you know, tens of thousands of contacts or 100,000 contacts that then you can take and basically put into different kind of customer segments. Okay. Clay is really unique in that Clay is also a bit more technical than Apollo, but it really enriches lead data with a lot of additional segments of information, which will allow you to customize your messages as well when it comes to the actual email copy. So, like I said before, you don't just want to, you know, download a list from one of these tools and spray and pray. It won't work. It can really, if you get a lot of people marking you as spam, even if you have like dedicated servers, you've got a great setup, you can still blow out domains, you can burn them out and basically start the warm-up process all over again with new email addresses and domains. So I would really strongly recommend that you have someone on your team. It can be you. I mean, I do my own lead research a lot of the times as well. You know, you need some people that to just look over what you're doing and make sure that your audience makes sense. Because if you start to pitch someone about your water technology who, you know, is selling, you know, social media, then you're going to be in for a rough awakening. Okay.
Michael, can I interrupt with one question from the audience?
Sure, absolutely.
So there's a question here: what is the difference? What difference does it make for sending it from HubSpot? I guess comparing HubSpot to the other tools that you've mentioned, I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah, totally. Happy to answer that question. So that is a great question, and I kind of have a great answer for that. First of all, I am in favor of sending in general from automation tools because you're simply not going to be able to get to the scale you need unless you hire an army of outsourced individuals to go into your email address and manually send. So I do like that, but you have to be careful because there are automation tools. I don't know if HubSpot is one of them, but if you send from some automation tools, you know, the way that some of these automation tools, not HubSpot necessarily, that they identify, let's say, open rates, okay? That they identify whether someone's opened the email is by basically adding, you know, a pixel to the email that is picked up by Google and Microsoft. And where the advantage of that is that you'll be able to see maybe what your open rate is, what you think your open rate is, because, you know, some platforms like, you know, some devices like Apple devices open every email, but the downside is that that is also kind of a sign to Google and Microsoft that you're using an outbound, it's an automation tool for cold outreach, which that piece of code or that pixel essentially that is being sent in your emails can actually hurt your deliverability. So what we always do with our cold emails, whether it's HubSpot, we don't use HubSpot, but we use Instantly, and we've used Reply.io and Lemlist. We actually totally disengage open tracking. So as long as you disengage open tracking and you don't actually pick up on open rates, those types of concerns are usually mitigated. While I think open rates are nice to see in terms of your just knowing whether people are getting your emails, they're not a very accurate indication always. And the main thing we really care about, of course, is reply rates. So sending from HubSpot, I don't think HubSpot is the best tool because HubSpot is not, it's not really a tool that was originally built to be for cold email or for outbound sales. It's a marketing tool that's kind of trying to engage in other arenas. And so if you're actually trying to do cold email, I would much prefer tools like Instantly, Lemlist, and Reply. I realize that a lot of people like HubSpot because of the ecosystem. You have everything else there, like your CRM and maybe other types of marketing campaigns. But I don't believe there is just one tool that is really good for everything. Okay, so I'm happy to obviously speak more about that privately. Before you, when you actually have a great set of customer data, before you send any emails out, it is really important that you verify them. Okay, you really want to verify the email addresses and make sure that the data you have that you either sourced manually or that you bought is valid. And so we use a tool called Million Verifier. There's also Unbounce and Zero Bounce, and I'm sure there's a few other tools with bounce in it. There's debounce, whatever. And usually those tools will tell you whether an email address is valid, whether it's what's called accept all, like it may be, like it should be okay, and whether it's invalid. And just straight off the bat, as much as it's annoying and uncomfortable and expensive, we don't use any data that's been deemed invalid. We just don't do it. It's simply not, unless you want to have throwaway domains and throwaway email addresses that you're okay burning out in the off chance that an email goes through. We do separate out campaigns from accept all and valid. We assign different domains, different email addresses, and put them in entirely different campaigns. That's basically our way of providing safety for our infrastructure that we're spending so much time and effort and money building up. Okay, so and once you've actually launched your campaign, regardless of like the data, the email deliverability setup, your messaging, it's important to constantly keep your email addresses being warmed up by these external third-party providers, because in addition to the cold emails that go out, you still want to see normal organic activity. Okay, so that's something that's very, very important. There's, it's a lot to remember, but once you really get the hang of it and you basically build an internal protocol for yourself, it will pay off massively in dividends. Okay. I can't see the questions, just so you know. So I see some questions popping up, and I'll let Ori interrupt me if there's something really urgent. But so now that I've spoken a bit about email deliverability, I've spoken a bit about precision lead targeting. The final thing I really want to help you guys out with is really about the creation of the content and how you write a message that is both personalized and as well as scalable and will really get the reactions that you really want. Okay. So cold email today is the equivalent of what knocking on someone's door was, 50 years ago or 60 years ago. And actually, my very first sales job, I actually did knock on people's doors. I sold windows and siding door to door in Cincinnati, Ohio, long before I worked in Israeli high tech, long before I've had agencies. My first actual sales experience was just knocking on doors, introducing myself properly. Hi, I'm Michael Basson, et cetera, et cetera. I'm here to help you with whatever. Do you have a few minutes to speak? And I think a lot of the same principles from direct engagement, like just walking around, talking to people in person, apply to cold email that lots of people forget. In addition to having really good base templates, it can be really challenging to appropriately personalize things. I don't believe people should go crazy on personalization. I do not believe that you need to start every email off by having 2 paragraphs about how you loved their blog or, went to the same college as their dog or, some other kind of irrelevant information that if you received it, you just roll your eyes and be like, okay, this guy's a loser. Because the main thing you want to emphasize with your cold outreach is whoever is receiving my email, they should be thanking me that I'm sending them an email because I've got a solution that's so out of this world. It's going to help them. I don't need to beg for their attention. I don't need to belittle myself. I don't need to, try my best to kind of be at borderline annoying because everybody knows when someone's annoying and everyone knows when when someone feels like they're being annoying. It's not comfortable. So there are a few key principles that I want to talk about when it comes to cold outreach that are really not, I don't think are as conventional as you might think. It's true that we want emails that are short and to the point, but what does short mean? There's very much a conception. I always hear things like, oh, emails need to be short, like emails are too long. Well, it depends to who and depends to what you're saying. Like I think that a lot of times when people are really struggling with their cold email, I often find their emails are actually way too short. They're way too short. They're so short, they didn't actually say anything. Or they said something very generic, or they're trying to kind of be, a bit pushy and aggressive on, the calls to action, but they didn't really offer any content or information. So short is relative. If you need to write more, write more. If you need to explain yourself better, explain yourself better. It's always better to start with really long form content that you can shorten and narrow down, with time, but you don't want to make it so short that to the extent that you're sacrificing your message. So I define short as anything less than 200 words for an initial cold email. When you're writing an email, whether it's 100 words or 200 words, 150 words, you need to have really clear and direct calls to action. And where you place the calls to action is really unique. It's true, the longer your email, the more you don't want to wait to put the call to action in the middle and at the end of the message, okay? Because someone might not read your message. Sometimes writing a longer email is not about anybody reading your message word for word. It's about giving them an impression. You all know if you've ever hired somebody that when you look at a CV, a resume, that you look at the resume for 5 seconds, if that, maybe 3 seconds, because you're trying to get an impression of the person, and then you're going to make an instinctual decision: am I going to talk to them or not? It's the same with the email. They might not read your message word for word, but they're going to be impressed that you sent it. So having a call to action after a couple of lines, hi, I'm Michael Basson. I'm reaching out from Scale Up Sales. It's great to connect with you. I want to help you, scale up your cold outreach and generate more meetings. Can we speak some time next week? It's great to have a call to action that's very clear and to the point after just a few lines, and then another call to action at the end of the message. Finally, when it comes to explaining your clear value proposition, a clear value proposition in supporting evidence is not about your feature list. I realize you created a really cool technology. It's so cool. You have all these features. It's going to help you connect your social media to your underpants and your laundry, and it's the next big thing. You're going to optimize your processes and workflow and whatever, all this stuff that when you really think about it, people have no clue what you're freaking talking about. Okay, because they're buzzwords, they're buzz phrases, they're buzz emails, and so you really need to be able to clarify your value proposition. And think about it: would my daughter understand this? Would my 8-year-old daughter? Would my grandfather, who's 85, would he understand this? If you can't explain something clearly to a child or to like a really elderly person, you're not there yet, and you need to like stop what you're doing and not send until you really are there and make sure that what you're talking about is clear and how it can benefit them. Nobody cares about your features. All they care about is your value, and they care about how you can either help them make money, save money. Like that's what they care about, and people forget that because they get so enamored with the solution that's so clear to them as to why it's valuable that they forget how to convey the value. A word about subject lines, okay? So when you're writing a cold email and you are going to be creating your subject line, I do believe it's important to keep the subject lines brief, 4 to 6 words tops. It is important to have correct punctuation and capitalization. I see this a lot with cold emails. There'll be random capitalization, there'll be random punctuation. It's a bad look. If you don't look like you really, when I see somebody who writes to me messages with poor grammar, poor punctuation, I understand maybe they've been trying to, if they write me a message that has a very, very long subject line, it either A, tells me they're trying too hard, or B, it just turns me off because I just don't relate to them anymore. You might be surprised, but the most effective subject line we've ever used in like our years of doing outbound campaigns is always actually introduction, company / your company. Something very innocent, intriguing, to the point. So because when you think about introduction or opportunity, like it's I'm open to that. I'm open to just in that, especially if you've written it correctly and written it with like good punctuation. It really does make a difference, especially to native English speakers. Okay. When you write a cold email, the one thing that is I think really not obvious, which I think it should be obvious, is that you should really start off by properly introducing yourself. Obviously, that when someone receives an email from you, they can see your name in Gmail like before they have actually opened the message. And so you'd think that when they open the message, you should just dive into your pitch, because time is money. People don't have time for this. I totally disagree. I know you might know that my name is Michael Bassin, but when I say, hi, Ori, hi, Jeff, hi, whoever, my name is Michael Bassin, I'm reaching out from Scale Up Sales. It's courteous. It gives me a different feeling. It gives me a feeling that I'm talking to a serious person. I don't want to receive an email saying, hey, Michael, have you heard about this latest hack to get more leads? I don't believe you. I won't believe you whatsoever. I won't believe you have anything to offer me. What I want to know is who you are, where you come from. I want to like clearly think about like your company name, maybe look it up. And I want you to spell it out for me like I'm 5 years old, what exactly you want me to do. Otherwise, so a lot of it's not just about the content of your message. It's what is the feeling you're giving someone? Are you coming off like a likable person? Are you coming off like a person who really gets it? You might think, hey, I'm a very sociable person. I've got great social skills. You'd love to sit next to me on an airplane for 10 hours. But in an email, everybody is autistic. Everybody's autistic. Nobody understands your emotions. No one understands where you're coming from. Everybody has a block. That's why people can get so offended, if you write them a text message with the wrong messaging, or something like that. People can misread your messages. And so when you have a friendly greeting, you're basically doubling down on the fact that you're a friendly person. Okay. Here are a couple of calls to action that I think are very clear and to the point. Are you available for a call next week? Does this align with your current needs? Having this really high up in the message, it just make it easy for me. Don't make me have to think too hard. I'm not good at that. What is going to get triggered by spam, with your emails is tricky. There are some obvious ones, like I don't recommend ever, offering a discount in your email, like, oh, wow, you don't know me and here's my service, but here's like $1,500 off your first month. Well, like, huh? $1,500 off what? Like, what are you talking about? Okay. Just like a risk-free and promotion and dollar signs. You obviously want to remove that. But the reality is there could be a lot of innocuous terms that you're not necessarily sure they don't necessarily sound like they're spam, but they could actually trigger spam. We've seen this a number of times. We had a client that in the United Kingdom that was offering essentially like data points in the billions, and just like having the word billions in the email copy was triggering spam. So what's really important is that once you have your core copy, it's important to continue to run it through various spam prevention tools like Glock apps or like Mail Tester or things or competitors of theirs all the time, like once a week. Just because what did not trigger spam last week might trigger spam this week, or you might get flagged as spam when you're sending to different geos. Okay, so what does not go to spam in the United States might go to spam in the United Kingdom. So you might even need different campaigns targeting different geos, even if the messaging just requires some basic tweaking. Okay. When it comes to personalization, I'm sure everyone knows that it's very easy to include things like uploading a first name, a job title, a company name. But what's not as clear is how do you have real personalization? Like not the BS stuff. Okay. Like not like now there's a lot of AI solutions out there that have been I've tried and I've tried, about that kind of will sort of scan, social media and try to kind of come off with like a really good, first line in an email. And I think that soon that's going to be really good, but I think right now it's not quite there yet. I've also tried tools that do complete, AI generated messaging based on a few core pieces of input, and they will actually create a new email for every contact you have. I don't think those tools are where they need to be yet, but my colleague Jeff and I actually created our own tool that we call Hey Stranger, which is actually kind of an in-between point for that. What we essentially are able to do is we can upload a contact list and it'll scrape the website and try to basically use AI to kind of customize something like that's unique or insightful, one basic thing that kind of incorporates something about the company. And we don't really use social media. We think that's a bit tricky, but we do use company websites, company news sections, and we find that to work pretty well. I want to show you guys an example of a cold email that kind of incorporates all the different things that I mentioned just now, okay, for you guys to understand. So this is for a client of ours called Clinically, which is a clinical research technology solution based in the United States, who's been working with Scale Up Sales for the last, since August of 2022. They have a product called Clinically Sign. And if we kind of look at the email, I want you to notice that my subject lines are, 4 words, okay? And they're also fairly clear. I want you to notice that we create like a clear introduction. I want you to notice in yellow this was like AI generated by Hey Stranger, okay? And this was specifically generated by our software and also like the competitors. And while this is not particularly long or particularly short, it's very clear, I think, in terms of like the intro, the ask, like what exactly we do. The call to action here is a bit not standard for us. This one is actually meant to be more of like a lighter call to action where we actually provide like a lead magnet or a video we can send, because in the digital signature space, it's a very saturated market. So we found that giving over some collateral, something of value, was very, very helpful. Okay, but we also have this line at the end saying like, we actually don't like to put a link in to unsubscribe from messages. I think it's much better practice to have a line in there saying, if you're not interested, please let me know. It'll boost your response rates and not also trigger spam through the use of links. So that's pretty much everything in terms of a core introduction to cold email. I think that if you really take the time to really understand what's going on, what the ongoing changes are when it comes to email deliverability, precision lead targeting, and personalized outreach at scale, you can be very successful. And just one of the realities is that, you don't really have much of a choice. You have to make cold email work because it's the single most democratic, equal, marketing channel. And it's basically the basis for, everything else you're going to do. So it's frustrating. Other marketing channels are great as well, but I do not think you're going to find as much bang for buck if you're a B2B solution. And, you have to make this work. And if you'd like any assistance, I'm happy to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. It was very interesting. It's amazing how this world is so much complicated, but still we need to keep the communication simple. But there's a variety of tools, which hopefully we can then share after the webinar, the list of tools that you mentioned, because there are so many of them. We have several questions. We'll take them to the Q&A session in a while, but let's run our, that's why we're all here, right? Our
raffle.
So hopefully you can see my screen as promised several times. We're going to have the first draw now live for a $50 Amazon gift card. And the second one is actually related to our topic, a 3-month subscription to a premium package of LeadSpot. It's a platform for marketers for doing outreach, for researching. They have a database of 50 million companies, I guess, and it's AI-driven. What I like about it is that you can look for a company and then look-alike companies. Okay, so you find a company, you can make a look-alike search. It has AI integrated, so you can just type in whatever you want, and it will find it for you. there's a built-in CRM. They have email verification and LinkedIn templates. So if you're tired of copy pasting your LinkedIn messages, these guys can make your work easier. And they also have a Chrome extension through which you can retrieve leads from Sales Navigator or from Google Maps. They don't have the outreach element, but they have a very good database to search and to target and for enrichment. So they're providing us 3 months of 250, valued total of $750. So let's run our raffle. Let me share our screen with the raffle. We'll run it live. Hopefully you can see it. It's coming up. Okay, the first raffle for a $50 Amazon gift card. Congratulations, Ariela. You won a $50 Amazon gift card, but we will remove you now from the list because we want others to win as well. Now for the LeadSpot platform, this is the big professional gift. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Congratulations, Arvidas. Sorry, I'm surely pronouncing it.
Arvidas Strumskis. I know him.
But okay, we have 2 winners. Now, I want to share with you some other good and interesting things that will be really useful for you. So can you really leverage on this webinar before we jump into the Q&A session? We have several questions waiting for us. So here are some useful links. I will copy and paste them into the chat. You can book a free strategy or channel partner consultation with me with this link. You can, Michael has kindly offered a review process, a free review process of your cold emails, okay? So you can just drop him an email and he will do the review for you. This is LeadSpot, the platform that we just talked about, link. You're welcome to trial and learn more about the platform. They have a Chrome extension, which you can use and retrieve leads from several websites, mostly the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can drop you an email and being interviewed for Beam Global Fireside Chat series. It's a series of videos where we interview CEOs and founders of B2B software company and startups, where they share their success and tips, how they penetrated global markets. So we provide you like a free publishing over our channels of this interview. And you're welcome to join our future events. And as a matter of fact, we have an upcoming event, face-to-face event on March 26th. We will share the details later on. Once that we're done with the Q&A session, those that will stay, a pop-up window will come up with the survey. Once that you answer it, we will conduct another draw for another $50 Amazon gift card. But there were a few interesting questions that we've seen here. One of them, I'm not going to, and it's also a concern that I hear from our customers, Michael, that would be for you, is about compliance issues, GDPR, privacy. Is it legal, not legal, in Europe, in Israel, wherever? What can you tell us about that?
Sure. Okay, I'm not on mute. That's great. First thing is this. I'm actually sending out to the whole group a link to a blog on the Scale Up Sales website all about the different regulations per geo in terms of what is defined as spam and what is legal and what is not legal. So there are slightly different regulations. The United States, of course, is like the least regulated, but I'll just give you kind of like a very high level. In the United States, you have to include some type of option for opting out of an email that you send cold. one can send a link like I alluded to, but you can also send a message just saying, hey, if you don't want to hear from me anymore, just let me know. And you have to use transparent subject lines. Okay, so you can't have something that's clickbaity or that's misleading. That will violate the CAN Spam Act. In the United Kingdom, if you're sending an email that contains the recipient's name or other personal information, you have to kind of prove that you have a legitimate interest. So it's really and you also have to send from a corporate email address. So like michael@scaleupsales.com. Okay, if you send it from the corporate email address, it's actually easier, it's legal. But if you're not sending from a corporate email address, then you need to really explain in depth what exactly is the purpose of your message. And when it comes to Europe, which is, I won't talk about other geos beyond that, but where they have the GDPR issue, you have to explain in depth your reason for reaching out. And saying that you think there could be good collaboration between your companies is a good reason, and you have to explain where you got the data. Oftentimes, when someone from Europe is annoyed because they got an email and it ruined their day, unfortunately, and they say, "Well, how did you get my data?" I mean, you can say, look, I got it from like a publicly available database. I found you on LinkedIn and I thought this would be relevant for you. It's not perfect. It's not nice getting kind of accusatory emails like that, but I mean, people have to make a living, and what we're doing is technically legal. Okay, so yeah, I hope that answers that question. And obviously, people can go to the blog and find out more information.
Thank you, Michael. Another question that we have, a very interesting one, is what about attached file via cold email? Can we do that? Should we do that?
Unfortunately, look, there are a lot of things I think would be great if you could do with email. It'd be great to have like exploding ribbons and flowers and colors and highlights and things like that and GIFs. But unfortunately, we have to be very, very careful. And really, the best practice we have is to send plain black and white standard text, no links and no attachments, unfortunately. It's possible to ask, well, one thing you can do in your cold email as the call to action is to say, is it okay if I send you a presentation about what we're talking about here? And then when they say yes, you can send it to them. But just sending a presentation out, there's a lot of hesitancy. You might be flagged as, phishing. I wish you could, because I know how constrained cold email can be by all these different rules and best practices. But that's why the number one thing you can do to make cold email succeed is to have a really killer, easy to understand message so that people are dying for that additional longer form content.
Thank you, Michael. Another interesting and concerning question is about, all these tools and this overstacking. How can smaller companies cope with that? How much does it cost? I mean, I'm not talking about big, enormous enterprises, but a smaller company, how many tools, how much it's going to cost?
Sure. So I'll let Jeff answer part of this as well, but it can cost. There's definitely a core set of costs. For example, there's a difference between cost and expertise. Doing custom servers is not so costly. Doing Gmail addresses is more costly, but you might end up spending more on an expert who to help you actually set it up if you don't know what you're doing. So there could be some one-time costs, or you might need if you have like one individual on your team who's able to figure out the servers or manage the email infrastructure, help you clean the data, kind of like an all-around back-end person or team, I think that would be very useful. But look, it's definitely more difficult. There's costs of Gmail, there's costs of automation tools, there's cost of a CRM, there's cost of warm-up services, there's time involved in double checking all these different things. I definitely recommend it's really like it's a marketing expense. I mean, you can't run any type of marketing activity and not have to expect some type of upfront costs. Like Google AdWords is not going to work with you on a performance basis. Okay, so you need to basically decide what is your budget, and does it make sense to either work with a freelancer, hire a dedicated team, or to work with an external agency who just manages it all for you.
Thank you. Another question is, how can you help to find the pain points for various companies across industries, retail, IT, hospitality? How do you identify their pain points?
It really depends on what you're selling, you know? I mean, there are certain industry, certain, you know, companies with product offerings where the pain point, maybe it's not really a pain point by industry, it could be a pain point by a certain job title. You know, you could have a pain point by job title, it could be a pain point based on, you know, internal supply chain in a country. So, you know, if the pain points are different from all those industries, I would advise you to just create totally different campaigns. But if it's pain points by job title, to create campaigns based on that. You know, and you can always, if you want to personalize your email, you can always add in like a field, you know, for industry. So you can say, we work with lots of companies in the retail industry, in the manufacturing industry, automotive industry. Finding the pain points is really about the research and expertise that we need to have before we even write an email. And the best way that I know how to do that is through research and through creating a long form sales pitch that allows me to basically have a backbone document of everything I know that is good about my offering and my industry that I can then use to create more shorter form content. It's never a good idea to start a cold email on Google Docs or Microsoft and just be like, okay, what am I supposed to say now? And like, it's going to be a futile effort. It's better have a few pages of content, a few pages of notes and bullet points that you can kind of organize together because, you know, if you don't know the pain points, you shouldn't be sending cold emails yet. You have to do that research first.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael, for your session, for the answers. And thank you, Jeffrey. I want to thank all our audience today. I hope that you've gained valuable insights to improve your cold outreach strategy. If you have any questions, reach us to us. We shared some links in the chat. Yeah, and I wish you success in your global expansion. And those that will answer the survey that is going to pop up will participate in another Amazon $50 gift card. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you so much.